Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the school board meeting of the month of May. This is the Laredo Independent School Board of Trustees and the Laredo Independent School Public Facilities Corporation, where the board of directors regarding, this is the regular board meeting. It's May the 14th. It is 5:35 at the Amber Uri Boardroom. Roll call, Mr. Garza, please.
Mr. Jesus Martinez,
Present.
Mr. Jose Valdez,
Present.
Mr. Rick Garza present, Mr. Hector Noyola,
Here.
Dr. Cecilia May Moreno,
Present.
Mr. Hector Garcia,
Present.
Mr. Jose R. Perez.
Present.
All accounted.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Castillo, you want?
Thank you. Good evening, Board President, Board members, Dr. Nelson. Tonight, LISD follows its tradition of saluting a veteran from our community. The Instructional Television Department, under the direction of Jeanette Martinez, has produced a video recognizing an outstanding veteran from Laredo. This evening, we are honoring Mr. Raul Perales in absentia for serving 6 years in the U.S. Navy, followed by 3 years in the United States Marine Corps.
The Laredo Independent School District recognizes the veterans who proudly and valiantly served in the military. Freedom is not free, so we pay tribute to our local veterans. Laredo ISD recognizes an outstanding member of our community and an honorable veteran, Mr. Raul Perales. Mr. Perales gave 9 years of service to our great country. He served 6 years in the Navy as a Seaman Third Class and later joined the Marine Corps for 3 years as a Lance Corporal. He tells us what he was responsible for while being in the Navy and what he considers his most interesting experience.
I used to repair electronic equipment, which consisted, as I said, radar, sonar, and the communications equipment. So we used to track the capsules. The most interesting ones were with the Navy because I was in electronics and I worked on sonar, radar, and it was during the beginning of, in the middle of the Gemini flights with the astronauts. I was assigned to an aircraft carrier, and we were the main recovery ship for NASA. And during my tenure, the first astronaut we picked up was Gus Grissom. And then we picked up John Glenn, which was quite exciting. The first ones to see face-to-face the first man that completely orbited the Earth 3 times, John Glenn.
Mr. Perales shares with us why he believes it is important to serve in the military.
We have a responsibility to our country, okay? And that's one way of giving back some of what we got. I was allowed an opportunity to study USAFI courses, which is United States Armed Forces Institute courses, and I love math. So I studied chemistry, physics, and that helped me when I got out of the military to pursue an electronic career with Xerox, which eventually opened other doors for me in life.
After serving 6 years in the Navy, he joined the Marine Corps. He tells us the reason why he joined.
The reason I joined the Marine Corps was that several members of my family were Marines, and I couldn't live it down. They said I was a water lily.
Oh, I can do that too. I can do it in the Marine Corps as well.
Prove them wrong.
Mr. Perales explains what continues to motivate him and his personal message to our students.
I enjoy challenges. I get very motivated when there's a challenge out there, and I like to pursue it. And I like to see what the challenge is, digest it, and then try to work up a solution to overcome that challenge and complete it. Read as much as you can. You can travel the world without having to take one step through books.
Mr. Raul Perales married his lovely wife, Aida, in 1968, and together they have 3 children and 3 grandchildren. He managed La Posada Hotel for numerous years and remains active as the public relations executive for the Fasken organization. Laredo ISD salutes you for serving our country and protecting our freedom.
Thank you very much. And on behalf of my boss, sorry he couldn't be here. He is ill at the moment and has been in bed for the last couple of days, but he's really wanted to be here. You know what? He takes a lot of pride in serving for our country, and he's a very good man with a big heart. So thank you for honoring him. I do want to thank Mr. Martinez for bringing this idea to the board, and I think it's a great thing to honor our veterans, and I congratulate you for doing that, and thank you, LISD, for honoring Mr. Perales. Thank you.
Mr. President, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, ma'am. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. And please remain standing for the national anthem, which will be performed this evening by Cigarroa Middle School student Billy Bravo on the violin. That was Billy Bravo, an 8th grade student at Cigarroa Middle School. Thank you. May I continue with special
Yes,
observances?
please. Yes, ma'am.
Under special observances, Mr. Hector Morales Jr., passed away on Friday, April the 24th. He was an LISD security officer for 9 years. LISD sends its sincerest condolences to the Morales family.
A moment of silent meditation, please. Thank you. Recognitions?
Yes, sir. Under board recognitions this evening, we are recognizing 3 campuses who donated their time to the American Cancer Society, students who excelled in academics, and several young talented musicians. We begin tonight by recognizing the 3 campuses that were the top fundraisers in the city during the 2015 Relay for Life for the American Cancer Society. First up is Cigarroa High School, who was the 3rd top fundraising team with $4,450.20. Here representing Cigarroa High School are Ana Náñez and Michelle Rubio. Next, we have Martin High School, who was the 2nd top fundraising team with $4,512.11. Representing Martin High School is their school principal, Mr. Guillermo Pro, Ms. Claudia Zuniga. We also have several members of their Relay for Life team, members of their student body. And this year's top fundraising team for the entire city of Laredo is Alma Pierce Elementary School. Alma Pierce raised $6,341.60.
Thank you.
And here's the entire Alma Pierce team, and they were led by Claudine Alfaro and Erlinda Treviño.
Thank you. Great job. Great job.
And their school principal, Ms. Noralba Johnson. And next, we are recognizing 4 outstanding LISD students who participated in the 2015 Duke University Talent Identification Program's 7th grade talent search. The 7th grade talent search identifies academically talented 7th graders based on their standardized test scores while attending elementary or middle school. These students are then invited to take the SAT or the ACT as 7th graders, which allows them greater insight into their academic abilities. Today's honorees have earned state recognition honors by scoring at or above the national average on at least one part of the ACT. And these students are from Lamar Middle School, Mr. Angel Olmos. And his principal, Ms. Margarita Taboada. And also from Lamar, Sergio Sanchez. In absentia from Memorial Middle School is Eloy Chavez, who is unable to come tonight. Also, one of our Duke Scholars from Kristen Middle School, Alexis Carrillo. Along with the principal of Kristen Middle School, Mr. Carlos Cruz. And now we have 3 students who were selected as the 2015 Gates Millennium Scholarship recipients. Cigarroa High School senior Carla Rangel is at her scholarship night, so she's not here with us tonight, but here with us are Nixon High School seniors Esmeralda Williams and Heraclio Bernal, who have received this prestigious scholarship for the class of 2015. Joining them is their school principal, Dr. Gerardo Cruz. Heraclio and Esmeralda were chosen from amongst a pool of 52,000 students. And they made it to the top 1,000. Why? Because they have great grades. They went to school every day, and they were very active in school and community extracurricular activities. Congratulations. Next, we are recognizing the Cigarroa Middle School and Cigarroa High School orchestras for winning sweepstakes during the recent performance at the UIL concert and sight reading competition. We begin with Cigarroa Middle School Orchestra under the direction of Alma Garcia. And representing the orchestra are Ms. Garcia along with members Billy Bravo, Antonio Rosales, and school principal Mr. Alberto Ibarra. Also joining them is our Fine Arts Director, Mr. Carlos Luna. Next, we have the Cigarroa High School Orchestra, who also won sweepstakes, under the direction of Tomas Aguilar. Joining us tonight is Cigarroa High School Band Director Servando Serna and orchestra members Ana Lara, Julie Rodriguez, Elizabeth Juarez, and Diana Riley. And now we're recognizing 8 musically talented students who participated in the Young Artists Festival, an annual competition sponsored by the Music Academy at the University of Texas at Brownsville. Representing the Vidal M. Trevino School of Communications and Fine Arts at the festival and receiving top honors are the following students. Larissa Espinosa, who received a superior rating and was named the overall winner for the junior division in piano. With Larissa as her piano instructor, Dr. Mary Grace Carroll, and school director, Dr. Marta Villarreal. Okay. Also receiving a superior rating is Jose Villa, and he wins it in the senior division for piano and voice. And Dr. Mary Grace Carroll is his instructor, and Celia Hernandez is also his voice instructor, and Dr. Mary Grace will accept his award on his behalf. here with us this evening the valedictorian from Nixon High School, Luis Bravo, who received a superior rating. Luis received a superior rating and was named the overall winner for the senior division in piano. Luis also received a superior rating in piano duets. Next is JJ Arriaga, who received a superior rating in piano duets. JJ wins a superior rating in piano duets, and his instructor is Dr. Mary Grace Carroll. Also winning a superior rating in piano duets is Gerardo Hernandez and Victoria Medina.
Congratulations.
Also receiving a superior rating was Jose Luis Munoz, who was also named the Outstanding Senior Guitar Artist. Jose Luis's instructor is guitar instructor Rick Cortez. Also receiving a superior rating and named the Outstanding Junior Guitar Artist is Giancarlo Galvan. And his instructor is also Rick Cortez. Congratulations to our musicians and their instructors. And that concludes tonight's board recognitions. Congratulations to everybody.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah. He wanted to be here, but he's bedridden right now. He can't walk right now. Yeah. Chuy, give me the water. Agua.
¿Usted va a ir solo de los policías? No, sí, usted va a ir. Va a ir a ver. Es que I'm going ahead. Sí.
Ahorita me levanto. ¿Cómo les
Ay, no, pero yo pensé que a veces lleva a su hijo, por eso preguntaba.
No, yo aquí.
So it's Friday at 7:30 at the Laredo Civic Center.
Yes.
Y esto porque
Yes. Lo pongo tentatively. ¿A usted?
Tentatively.
Es que they're trying to set up a table
this
for
is
you all.
public forum?
So,
Public forum, right?
Yes.
Empieza a las 8.
We have a couple more minutes for that.
Very late.
they have a dance and all.
Oh, is that what it is?
Ya se fueron todos.
Yep. All the honorees. We will now continue with the meeting. Mr. Garza, with the public forum,
We have a
please.
public forum. Mr. Abraham Rodriguez. I should say former trustee, Mr. Rodriguez.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent. Abraham Rodriguez for the record. I'm a member of the American Legion and representing him at this time. Wanted to come before you. We have a tremendous program named Boys and Girls State that the American Legion at the local level and all the way to the national level gets young people involved in developing core values in our country. Love for country, knowledge of our Constitution, how our government works, and so on and so forth. I just wanted to stand before you and thank you very much because of your efforts. LISD will be sending 14 young men to the University of Texas for a week of training, leadership. They get an opportunity to visit the state capitol, visit the congressmen and senators, and have a full schedule of training that will prepare him to be better citizens of our communities, our state, and our country, and know how the government works. We thank you on behalf of our organization, and we look forward to working with the LISD in future years. Thank you very much on behalf of our membership and our officers. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Thank you. Mr. René de la Viña.
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Nelson. For the record, René de la Viña, Laredo United TSTA NEA President. I'm here to talk about salaries. And I know sometimes they tell me, well, you unions, all you care about is salaries. That's not true. I said, if you care about students, you got to care about your employees. Very simple. And I practice this also at the college as a board member. I say the same thing. I'm always fighting for their salaries. Anyway, but if you can consider, I think Dr. Moreno, I believe you're the one that said 2,000 across the board, everybody a pay raise, I think, or something to that manner. That would be fantastic. And if not, if you have to go percentage, we're asking you, I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do, I'm asking you please, like say 10% paraprofessionals, 9% teachers, and 8% administration. Something like that where everybody comes out even. Because you know that 5% at 100,000 versus 5% at 20,000, you're talking about a big difference as far as a salary increase. So if you can just please, a big please, just try to make it as even as possible for everybody. Thank you very much. Y'all are a fantastic board. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
I think that was it for the public forum.
That was, thank you. I believe that's the,
That's it.
the number of individuals that participated in the public forum.
No, I'm not.
Okay. We now have board communications. Mr. Garcia, you start, please.
Just real quick, I just want to belated happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. We had a great Mother's Day. I know that you all are the souls and the hearts of every family, so congratulations. And I hope you had a great Mother's Day. And I want to thank all those organizations and people that gave scholarships throughout all our campuses. I know that when I attended at Nixon High School, I wasn't in town for the Martin one, and today it's Figueroa. But I know that the Nixon one, they went from $1 million plus to a little over $5 million this year in scholarships. So I want to congratulate them for hard work and their dedication. I don't know the numbers from the other school. I know Mr. Garza went to another one, but congratulations and thank you, the community, for helping our students achieve their goals. And that's it. Thank you.
Mr. Garza?
Thank you. I want to reiterate, obviously, what Mr. Garcia said. I did go to the Martin Scholarship Night, to the Nixon Scholarship Night, and if Figueroa was scheduled at another time, I would have gone to that. I was so impressed, and I've been here for 3 years, and I see nothing but improvement. Obviously, we always want more, but we see the numbers going up. I'd like to congratulate Maggie and her staff and the counselors. Did an excellent job. And the challenges are there before us. All we have to do is go get them. And because these kids that I get to talk to and see it's sort of, to me, there's a new generation that's coming around that obviously they're called millennials. And they're supposed to be the ones that are the lazier ones, the ones that are tech prone, that's all they want to do. But from what I saw, like tonight, this Gates Millennium Kids, there's nothing that they didn't get for free. All that stuff they work for, and there's just no shortcuts from working hard and being successful. So I'd like to thank everybody that invited me to those events. It just encourages me and keeps me working harder because I get to see those kids and what they do. And plus staff, I get to see what you do. And like I said, we're headed in the right direction. But obviously, I'm challenged. I'm even more encouraged now and more motivated now to work harder so that we can work harder and get things done better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garza. Mr. Perez?
Yes, I just want to congratulate Mr. Raul Perales for being honored tonight. I have known Mr. Perales, and you know he's a good gentleman. And thank you, Mr. Perales, from the bottom of my heart for taking that time to devote to our country and defend our freedom. The other thing I want to say is, you know, in a few weeks, the year for teachers and a lot of employees is going to end. So the battery indicators shows an E, and that's enough to finish the year. So we wanted to recharge it, come back, and I know that the challenge still continues and it will never end. So I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of the teachers, paraprofessionals, all the people, all the employees that work and that are involved. I know that the board is very active in trying to keep ahead of everything so that we can bring our youngsters the best education that we can get. And that's our motto. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Mr. Magdala?
Yes, I also would like to congratulate all our scholarship recipients, and I would like to acknowledge Maggie Martinez, Rosina Silva, and all the counselors for awarding close to $15.9 million in scholarships. This is outstanding. Finally, congratulations to the Cigarroa baseball team for making the playoffs too. Thank you.
Dr. Moreno?
Yes, first I want to thank the board and all those of you that were able to attend during the ceremony where the Civic Center swimming pool was named in my name. My family and I were very honored, and it was a very emotional time to see so many people there. But more than anything, we're just so thankful to everybody that could be there and those of you that couldn't be there, but I know you were thinking about us. And then more especially to this board and to our superintendent who made it possible. To Veronica, who did an outstanding job of getting all the arrangements done. It was very, very nice. Thank you. At the same time, I want to remind our high schools that we have one more opportunity to graduate some students. And I really hope that all of you will work real hard, know every student that's not ready to graduate as of today, and see how it is that we can help them graduate, if not at the end of May, during our summer graduation. That can only happen if we literally work through a list where we know every student that should be graduating with this class. It's so important. So many students will remember that forever if you help them out. One of the things that we often notice when Sammy and I go to the grocery store or anywhere is the number of people that come up to him, because he was at the high school for many years, the number of people that come up to him and say, I remember when you helped me, I remember when you did this for me, I always remember this. And so let me say that these students will remember that help that you give them. So let's work with this graduating class and let's make those numbers up higher so that more students can graduate this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Moreno. Mr. Valdez?
There are so many good things happening in the Laredo Independent School District that I don't think we would have enough time to congratulate everyone. I do want to recognize the Parent Involvement Program. I attended the mariachis with mom, and we thought it was going to be music, but in Laredo, mariachis means something else. We had both, though. And I sat there and with Miss Maggie Martinez and her mother and some other people, and everybody was having a very, very good time. I was very impressed with the presenter. The speaker really meshed in with the group that was there, not talking down to them, and it was something to behold. I hope that we get to see more of this young lady. And incidentally, we found out later that she's a graduate of Martin High School. She lives in, I believe, in Grand Prairie. And we could congratulate a lot of people here, have a nice mutual admiration society, you know how great we all are. We know that. But I do want to recognize somebody that has achieved through the years and has gone through the ranks and is a humble person. I've known him for a long, long time. Mr. Raul Perales, I'm glad that he was recognized, and I hope that we create a plaque of some sorts, recognition. I have a different view about serving in the military. I also served in the military. I don't know if we were fighting for freedom or whatever, but by God, I was there, and we were ready to go when the Cuban crisis came in. I'm glad we didn't go. But still, I was with the 1st Armored Division, and we were moved from Fort Hood, Texas to Fort Stewart, Georgia. And from there, we got into it with the Navy. There were a couple of fights there, which is one of the American traditions. And we lost. But we also moved into, I remember going into the LSTs, those are landing, the troop landing boats. That was quite an experience. So I knew a little bit about getting ready to go into the, shall we say, hostile zone. And Mr. Raul Perales is a very special person. He not only served in this country, but he also was very active in the community for many, many years. Took a lot of positions that a lot of people don't take, and he definitely succeeded where he is. So again, to all the people that are here tonight, we have seen the quality that we have in the Laredo Independent School District. From the young man who played the violin, now that was beautiful, wasn't it? Just great. We could go on and on. We have a lot to recognize in our students and definitely in our teachers. My son was a coach. I know what it means to be working out there in the trenches. Also the people who cook the meals, the ones that drive the buses, all of them. And we are going to have a special recognition, I believe, for some of the other ones. We do want everybody to know that we appreciate what they're doing. Even though somebody is being paid to do a job and you're being compensated, still we have a lot of people that go just a little over and above and beyond what is required. And that is great. Now, I've been here close to 18 and a half years. I'm the oldest person here, and I'm not talking about age. And I've seen a lot of changes, I'm very proud to have served with a lot of different school boards. What you see here tonight is not what used to be here. We have seen a lot of improvements, a lot of changes that have come through the years. And there will be more coming up. So, again, congratulations to all the ones that have excelled. The other ones, I think we should send a message that we haven't left them behind. We're thinking about them, and we have new and very innovative ideas of things that are coming up. Now, I know that most of the times all we hear about is salaries, wages, and things like that. But that's the nature of this, shall we say, institution. But overall, I think that we're moving in the right direction. I'm very proud to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Valdez. And as Mr. Valdez says, it is important to remember the veterans and thank them for their service. It is also important to thank the American Legion for having programs like Boys State and Girls State in creating and keeping up the spirit of Americanism. Americanism is the people that work for our country, that respect our country, and that know the Constitution, know the laws, and are aware of how to take care of our country. I think that's very, very important. We need to continue working on Americanism and the importance of being citizens in our country. Also, I want to say graduation is upon us in a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks. And I just want to mention that the diploma that the students get have a meaning. The meaning is very important to us. What can we create in our students when they graduate from high school? What can we do? And we work very hard here on the board to try to guarantee that the students that come out of high schools in our district are prepared for the future and are prepared to continue with their education with grants and scholarships and with enough knowledge to do good and great at the university level. So this is very important for us. We need to remember that there is meaning to the diploma that the students get, and the meaning is such. Okay, and also congratulations to our teachers in Teacher Appreciation Week and to our police department and police department and policemen's Appreciation Week. So congratulations to everybody and to us for trying hard. Thank you. Dr. Nelson?
Thank you, Mr. President. I also wanted to be sure and recognize a few special people this month. Mr. Noyola, first of all, I had the opportunity to join Trustee Noyola at the annual Conrad Cruz citywide track meet, and it was exciting to see our kids compete. And they made us so proud. We had representatives from all of our schools, and I just wanted to commend the Boys and Girls Club of Laredo for putting together such a high caliber. It was like going to a college track meet, and I really enjoyed that, so I wanted to thank him. I also wanted to recognize a very special lady on our team who really goes unnoticed. Miss Connie Vela is our testing director, and in case you did not know, she is responsible for over 38,000 test documents. And I just want to applaud her publicly for her leadership and the work that she does. She's done an outstanding job, and she keeps everyone in the organization on their toes, and she's compliant, and she talks to TEA, and we live in a very critical world, and there's been lots of criticisms about testing, and I certainly could, in the essence of time, I won't go there, but I just want everyone to know that our testing department is ethical, they're hardworking, they do things the right way, and I'm proud to have her leading our testing program. Also, I wanted to thank Coach Rene Amidas and his team for the past several Saturdays. He and his team have taken a board initiative, which is a middle school soccer tournament, and we've had soccer being played all over our district at every field we have. It's been 7th graders and 8th graders, and really serving as a catalyst for some of the things we want to do to increase participation in our athletic program. So he has definitely gone unrecognized, but it's been Saturday mornings at 7 o'clock, and I just wanted to thank Maggie and Renee and for all those who have led that. I also wanted to recognize the president of the board, because as our former trustee, Mr. Rodriguez, mentioned earlier in the public comments, the Boys State initiative is really an initiative that was ignited by our board president. And so his feelings about patriotism and really teaching kids, if you know the legislative process, which we have studied as professionals, really kids get to learn about how bills become law and being on the Capitol, and all of that's just very exciting. For us to have 14 kids is really, I just wanted to publicly acknowledge that it's a result of the leadership from our board president. People like Mrs. Rosina Silva, our counseling director, Ms. Maggie Martinez, make it happen. But we wouldn't have even come up with that idea if it wasn't for people like the president of our board. Last but certainly not least, I wanted to take just a minute to recognize Mr. Homer Pice. In case you didn't know, all of our projects right now are on time. And it's been raining cats and dogs, and so some people are worried that they won't be, but because we have Homer Pice on our team, I'm confident that our Nixon project, our VMT project, our Zachary project, all of those projects are moving fast and furious. Several trustees have worked directly with Mr. Pice to go and visit. I'd encourage all of you to walk those campuses and see. It's breathtaking. And it is providing our kids and our community state-of-the-art facilities that I know that we all agree our community deserves. And so I know that he's been hitting the sites every day, and Mr. Velasquez has been working with them to make sure that our projects continue to stay on time and under budget, because that's our priority. May we proceed to committee reports, Mr. President?
Yes, sir, let's go ahead and go on.
Before we go on, can we ask for you to give us a little more detail on how many students are participating in Boys and Girls State? Are we represented at all the high schools, and do we have boys and girls from all the high schools?
We have 14 boys.
And no girls?
It's called Boys State.
Not yet means we're gonna,
No.
are gonna get them?
We tried.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
We'll follow up. I'm not sure what the girl state timeline is, but we certainly want to
Okay.
participate.
And all three all 4 high schools are represented?
I believe so.
Maggie, all 4 high schools are represented? So is
I
it,
know at least 3.
if
least
not,
3
if, okay, is it too late for you to get students from the 4th high school? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Valdez, now that
Yes.
we're,
Now that we're on
Speaking
the
out.
Boys State, I also believe that patriotism is very, very important. Patriotism is love of country, but you cannot have love unless there is a reciprocation on the other way back. And this country does reciprocate, through our government, and we're part of that too. So I want to congratulate Mr. Martinez for that. That's also a very, very, well, let me also congratulate Mr. Tito Garcia, because it was through the initiative of Mr. Garcia that these things came about. I've been here, like I said, a little over 18 years, and these things didn't happen before. And again, what facilitated this so that we could send our students over there to an important activity like this was our discretionary funds. And that's something that we're very, very proud of. And it gives you an example of the things that have come about because of these new programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you, okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Nelson, you want to
Yes,
continue,
sir.
sir?
The next agenda item, Mr. President and members of the board, is committee meeting reports.
Yes.
As is customary, we have our multicolored presentation that summarizes the meetings and everything that was discussed. Mr. President, in the interest of time, one of the things I would like to do is speak a little bit about an agenda item that was on all of our committee meetings, and it warrants an update. It was entitled Legislative Update, and I want to commend our staff, really under the direction of our communications department and the other cabinet members. We've been watching the legislative session. Ms. Ayala's been visiting with Lynn Moak in his office. Our chief of police is monitoring it very close with the organizations that he's involved with law enforcement. There was recently a story of the governor signed the first bill into law, Senate Bill 149, and it is for graduation requirements. And we are working fast and furious to implement that law according to the statute. And it basically requires us to have committees that review each student who has been unsuccessful in the end of course requirements for graduation. And what will happen by the end of the day tomorrow is those committees will have met, and we will divide those students. It's a little over 120 students in all 3 high schools. We don't have any at the early college. But they will be divided into 2 groups. And those groups are a group of kids that the committees feel can graduate in June with their class. And there'll be another group of kids that will receive a summer intensive intervention and have the opportunity to graduate in August. So we're going to bring it to the board in more detail as we continue to flesh it out. There'll be a packet in your board update. We've scheduled a special called meeting for 1 week from today at noon. And the purpose of the meeting is for the board to consider and possibly act on a resolution that TEA sent us yesterday that basically says we're going to comply. And so we'll be bringing that to the board 1 week from today. There was another bill that actually passed today. In the interest of time, we won't flesh it out, but it has to do with diplomas and endorsements. And it was signed by the governor at 3:59 today. It has huge implications for our counselors, for our curriculum and instruction team, our CATE program. It has to do with endorsements. One other piece of information I think would be important for the board to know is there was a House bill that was really being discussed that would totally revamp the school finance system. It was sponsored by Representative Aycock, and it was basically pulled from the agenda today. And so now there's still a discussion about the financial template and appropriations under the appropriations bill, which is House Bill 1. But House Bill 1759 was basically going to be, if approved, was going to go to the Senate and go to the governor, and it was going to provide $2 billion with a B, to public education. But the reason why Representative Aycock pulled it is because there was no way it would get through the Senate. So it's dead in the water. Now, he's actually saying that he thinks in a special session, if they have a special session, he can bring it back. There's also a school finance lawsuit that is supposed to be heard in September. That doesn't really help us because we really want to know our template and accounting really by the time we bring a balanced budget to the board. So I just wanted to be clear. And then the last thing that'll be in your board update is Lynn Moak and Associates and the Texas Association of School Boards and Texas Association of School Administrators are asking superintendents and school board members to consider calling your representatives on House Bill 1798. And it basically is a complex bill that talks about the control local school boards have in their school districts. So I won't get into it much without us having a chance to review it, but it's House Bill 1798. We spoke about Senate Bill 149. We spoke about House Bill 181. And we're continuing to monitor everything from the open carry bill and how they've been discussing it, the implications and amendments that need to happen for colleges and universities. The next conversation is for K through 12 school districts. We're monitoring a bill that would be, respectfully to the government, an unfunded mandate that requires us to purchase body cameras for every certified law enforcement officer we have, which I think is 54 total officers or somewhere. But anyways, we'd have to buy it and it'd have to be in place by the time the kids come back. We're watching several House bills in property taxes and any kind of relief that they're considering providing, and just a host of other bills that we will continue to update the board on. We actually think in our special call meeting for Senate Bill 149, we're just going to add a line item that says legislative update that allow us to bring, I bet a week from now, all of this will progress even further. So that's a short version of the legislative update, which is the main thing that was discussed under our committee reports. If there's no
Could you tell us anything about pre-K?
Good question. We are looking at pre-K, and there's a version of that bill that would basically, the fact that we already have pre-K for 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, there is a bill that, if approved, would be a tremendous benefit for the Laredo ISD. Now, it's highly contentious. And what's funny about it is the governor is advocating for it. Democrats in the House are supporting it. But I think the governor is facing some resistance in the idea of funding pre-K for everyone, because for us, it would be millions and millions of relief because we've already made that commitment. So I'll give a more explicit explanation on that, but we have watched it. I believe where it's at is it hasn't even got to the Senate yet because it's still being debated in the House. So we'll provide that in 1 week from today. Any other?
So have we sent messages to our representatives about how important pre-K is for us?
Absolutely. And when we testified as a school district before the Senate, pre-K was part of our discussion.
Okay.
Mr. Garza?
Just along with that last comment on those issues that we need to contact our representatives, if you can, I don't know, we'd like to get
facilitate that.
A letter that we can all sign and send over to them so that they can have it officially as part of the records.
It's a great idea.
Yes. And also just coming out this month, I was talking to Mr. Villarreal from the Webb County Appraisal District today, and he was letting us know that taxes are going to go up a small amount, and that will bring our tax revenue approximately $2 million or a little bit more. So due to the tax increase that is going on in the country and in our city, due to the prices of the properties, this is the proper thing to do, and we will be getting a little bit more income
Yes,
from
sir.
that. Okay.
You mean appraisals are going up?
Yeah.
If there's nothing else, we're ready to proceed
Yes.
with the first agenda item.
Yes, sir, please.
What we've been doing, Mr. President, is a board member would approve and/or do number 1, 2.
A motion
So
to
moved.
approve the monthly disbursements and audited C, D, and E. A, B, and C, and D, tax collector report.
There's a motion to approve A, B, and C,
Second that.
and second,
And D, Mr.
and D.
Yes.
Item number 1. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Approve the minutes.
Okay.
Second.
As the minutes, has been motioned that we approve the minutes as presented. Second?
I second it.
Okay, and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? None opposed, the motion carries. Okay,
Move
discussion.
to approve the budget amendments 3A to 3D.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we approve the budget amendments from 3A to 3D, which is item number 3. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Move
None
to
op-
approve the bids, proposals, and contracts 4A to 4N.
Okay,
I have a question on L.
okay, all right, except which one, Mr.?
L.
Okay, approve all of them except L. And a second? It's been moved that we approve.
Second.
And seconded all the way through,
Except the
except L. And this will include M, N. Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? None opposed, the motion carries. Mr. Garcia, item L, 4L.
Ms. Ayala, the money is coming out of the bonds, 698. I thought when we approved the city, the campus, that we already had that. I already had asked that if the money was already allocated previous to the whole Nixon project. I remember I had asked because I had heard that we didn't have enough money to take down the portable city and
demolish?
move it out.
To demolish for the
Right.
demolition?
That was part of that whole bid from the very beginning. So we're taking it, we're putting extra money into this pot.
If I may, Mr. President, I think that's a good question, Trustee Garcia, and we need to double check this to make sure that the response that I'm providing is 100% accurate. But I believe the 698 Bond 2006 series is the bond. This is not new money.
Okay.
This is what was already approved for this project, and all we're doing is taking that money that was approved back when this project was approved, and now we're using it to disassemble the portable city. It's not like we're asking for new
Additional funds.
135,000. It was already discussed.
I had asked it previous, if when they gave us our bid, the whole
Yeah,
school, that
and
money
this is
was,
that.
that's part of it, that they were told us.
Good
So
question.
it's not new
It
money.
was part of the estimated cost
Right.
in
Yes.
there?
Right.
It is not new money. This is
Okay.
Want to make
Mr.
sure.
Garcia, will you motion?
Well, one other question.
Okay, sorry.
Was this the lowest, how many bidders did you have, and was this the lowest?
Yes, we did have 3 bids from Laredo, San Antonio, and Harlingen. No.
So yes, it was the lowest bid.
This is the lowest?
Yes.
Okay.
It is the lowest.
Okay, it is the lowest, okay. Mr. Garcia, would
Motion to accept number,
you motion?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we approve item 4L. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? None opposed, the motion carries. we go
Move to
now.
approve the tax refunds, 5A
Second.
and 5C.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anybody opposed?
Move to,
None opposed. Item number 5 is passed.
move to approve number 6, 7, and 8.
It's been moved to approve 6, 7, and 8.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion on these items? Discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? None? Okay. Item 6, 7, and 8 pass. And now we go into the regular agenda. Item number 9, Dr. Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item number 9 is discussion and possible action on proposed salary increases for administrators, paraprofessionals, and teachers for the 2015-2016 school year, including the 2015-2016 teacher salary schedule and additional coaching stipends.
I move that we approve the option C1 with no
Second.
cap.
See what?
C1, the thing with no cap.
Second, the motion.
There's a motion to approve items
What is
C1.
C1?
Yeah, I do.
That there was supposed no cap on the
Administrators.
No caps on the teachers or the,
Ahí viene.
Administrators,
Yeah, and
See?
paraprofessionals.
okay, any discussion,
I have a
Mr. Garcia?
Hold on. I just want to ask, I don't have a problem with it, just the paraprofessionals that we're giving them 3%, that is not equal to what everybody else is getting. I'd be more, that we look at the paraprofessionals at another scale to 4% instead of 3%. I just think that we're giving everybody, to be fair all the way across, that we're not being fair with the paraprofessionals. I really don't think so.
maybe go 1,500 across the board for paraprofessionals.
Something like that, or.
Okay, I want to amend okay, C with them.
Is that equal to the 3?
No, because it's
That'd be
three,
more.
it equals up 5.
Could
That'd be more than
yeah.
3%, which is fine. I'm not speaking for or against. I'm just saying that if you did 1,500 for all paraprofessionals, it would be more than 3%.
That's fine.
I don't know
Yeah, I
if
want
it'd be
more than
5.
3%.
I don't know if it would get to 5, you know. See, if I may respond to that, Mr. President.
Yes, sir, of course,
I want to be
discussion.
clear, the staff, we're just proud that we're having this conversation, and it's really whatever the board wants to decide so that we can go balance it. But if you do something different, if trustees Garcia's comment, we really would have to calculate what 4% or 5% or whatever number it is you looked at for paraprofessionals. Trustee Noyola's idea, or I'm not sure if it was him or not, but whoever said 1,500 for everyone, that's a whole different number for us to calculate and get the total amount. We can do either. We're just saying that it's like the 1,500 across the board would not be 4% or 5%. There'll be some people that benefit more than others, so it's just a little.
I just want to say that I don't think teachers ought to be getting the least amount. Whatever we decide, it should not put teachers at the bottom of the
But even if you
increase.
get a paraprofessional 4%, they're still going to get less than the teachers are getting. Because we're giving them a step, the teacher, we're giving them a step and a 15 increase.
Right.
Professional, even if we give them 4%, they're still getting less than everybody else. So I just want to say, maybe take the option C1, but instead of 3%, go to 4%, which is almost 15, all the way up.
Okay, so,
Paraprofessionals?
Huh?
For the
Yes, for the
paraprofessionals?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
okay, Mr. Valdez?
Yeah. Okay, I have a concern, I have no problems with the teacher step. You said C1, ¿verdad?
Yes.
Okay, I have no problem with the teachers getting $1,500 across. That's great. Also, the stipends, no problem with that, and the administration. And, but I do have a problem with the paraprofessionals getting only 3%.
No, they're going for it. We're
Well-
recommending 4 now.
Sí, pero todavía no acabó. I don't want to go like the last time. I know that in the darkness of debate and arguments and what have you, a statement was made that I was supporting something. I never said that. I mentioned it privately, you know, that those figures went the other way, but I didn't do that, so don't put any words in my mouth.
Yes, sir.
Coming back to this, Last year, I believe we gave the paraprofessionals 5%, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Why are we coming down now to 3%? I don't know. What would be, I'd like to see if we can get a figure here. First of all, we don't have to approve this tonight,
We do not.
okay? So I'd like to see what the monies would be on the recommendation of Ms. Noyola. And what about if we went to 5% for our paraprofessionals like we did last year? Or maybe a little bit more. Let's see what we've got there.
Okay.
And
Yes, sir.
again, this is where you really show whether you really appreciate what they're doing, okay? All the awards and certificates are fine, okay? But it's something else, you know, where you show the appreciation, and I'd like to see what those figures are. I don't want to be tied down to the ones that are presented here.
Then can we, would you mind if we, Mr. Martinez, if we approve it? If we approve it as is, that's 4%, but with the stipulation that you're going to bring us back, with 5% and with 1,500, just to compare, but right now, let's take the 4%.
Well, let's see how
So
much
they
it
can
will
work on
cost.
it.
In other words, we need to know also how much it will cost. We don't want to break the piggy bank.
4% is going to
Yeah,
be.
what would it cost?
1,000,000.
Okay, that's what Mr. Garcia is
About
stipulating,
200,000.
that maybe there's more money, we can go up.
Right, let's do
from
4
to
and
5.
then, tell us to bring us the 5 and at 1,500, like Mr.
Well,
Rinaldi said.
Then we should leave it in abeyance until we get those figures. ¿Verdad?
Well, there's a motion.
Mr. Valdez, we have a lot of money, remember?
Well, I know, but we have a lot of projects too. Okay, how much will it cost? Oh, yes, we have the money.
We'll figure it out for you, sir.
Mr. Garza?
Now, it all depends when you say there's a lot of money, where all that money's coming from.
There's no money.
And you're right, you hit it right in the head, you know, and we don't want to get to a point where we break the piggy bank. And I'm all for all this. I do obviously, and I've always voiced my opinion on the increase for 0-year new teachers. You know, we're starting them off very well, and every year we keep on increasing that. And I've always thought that they should start at least 10-15% above the state average, and the rest of the monies that we save from that, give it to everybody else that's 3 years or 4 years and above. Because we keep on increasing that. It's not that we're going to increase. There's 300 teachers applying in this city, and LISD is only going to pick up 10, 15, then the UISD is going to pick up another 50. So we have the market at that end. They have to prove to us that they're going to be here for the long term. We've been losing them as we go along over the first, between year 1 and year 3, but they've started off at a high rate. My idea is that if we're going to give them, I'd rather give the money increases to those that have already proven that they're going to be long-term teachers, that they're going to stay, not the ones that are in and out or on the fence of whether or not they're going to stay.
Okay.
By the way, option C1, if it's the wishes of the board, I'm in agreement that a 4% on the paraprofessional
Okay.
is good enough.
Did we have a second for the motion?
Yes, we already
Okay,
first.
then we'll have to amend it. Let's, Mr. Perez, would,
Yes, I'll amend it to the 4% for
Okay.
paraprofessionals.
all right. We have a second to the amendment?
Call for the question.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? No, okay. Now, you want to make the, well, we do have the motion now for C1 with the amendment of 4%. Mr. Discussion, Mr. Valdez?
Point of information now. This can be amended at the next board meeting, okay?
Yes.
As
That's what
long
I
as we
said.
understand, this can still be amended at the next board meeting.
That's what I said, to bring
Right.
back the information
Well,
of
I'm sorry, I
5, to bring back the information of 5%.
Right.
Or $1,500 to see what the difference is.
At
'Cause
least
that's
we
four-
start
If we
with
go
something
1%
now.
more, you're looking at 400, you're looking about 400 and, about $460,000. That'll pick you up to 1.8.
And if there's any other monies for the teachers and administrators, we could also go up.
Right.
I mean, we can go up anywhere.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
just bring it down to us, maybe, but I'm being facetious.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize it was facetious. I thought you were serious.
Okay, but at the same time, I care for the teachers quite a bit, okay? My career was a teacher, and so that's the reason for making the statement. I know Ms. Moreno agrees with me that we have to look at the teachers and administrators all the way across with everybody. Okay?
Mr. President.
All those in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? None? Okay, the motion carries.
If I can just clarify, Mr. President, so that
Yes,
we
sir.
can prepare. So the board has just approved a increase in salaries that will be a teacher step plus $1,500 for each teacher. That is approximately $3.3 million in salary increases to our classroom teachers.
That's correct.
It also includes additional athletic stipends that have been coordinated by our athletic department for our coaches that will make us more competitive than any of our neighbors in Webb County, or just as competitive.
We'll just remind everybody that our athletic coaches are teachers.
Absolutely, so they really got it twice for the record.
Okay.
Okay, that also has an adjustment for our athletic coordinators as well. It also includes a 2% increase for all administrators, which under our new pay plan is basically counselors and above fall under our administrative pay plan. That is approximately $611,000 in additional salaries to our administrators. And then last but certainly not least, it was amended by this board and approved for a 4% increase for all paraprofessionals. The last thing I wanted to clarify, as Trustee Valdez eloquently said, the board still has an opportunity to amend, but we're going forward with this, and we're going to provide information on the cost of a 5% for paraprofessionals and $1,500 for every paraprofessional. We're going to bring both of those analysis for the board to consider. Does that sound accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. We'll follow up on that, and we appreciate, I know on behalf of our staff, I know they appreciate the additional salary increases, and I know it'll help us balance our budget, so
Can I
thank you
have
very
one more
much.
Yes, Mr. Garcia?
David, on the group of teachers, or that we moved from just I think the speech therapists and all that, we moved them from teachers to administrators. That they don't do they do zero administration. They're in the campuses teaching. When are we going to get a report back putting them where they belong? Or because I looked into the San Antonio district, they're categorized as teachers. I looked in the Valley, they're characterized as teacher, but we moved them from the teaching position to administration, which they don't do they do zero administration. They're in the classrooms, they're in the classroom. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Can we bring that back to us to see what we're going to do with that? Because they should be, yeah, you know what you're talking about, right?
Yes, and basically, if I can respond to that, Mr. President,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia's point is right. That's part of our pay plan appeals.
Yeah.
And so we're going through those. They're not complete yet, but by June, to answer your question, we will bring an update not only on the speech therapist concern, but there's probably about 8 to 10 others as well that we will provide. So we'll bring a detailed update on that and several others in June.
Thank you.
Sorry, I wasn't.
Mr. President?
I wasn't.
Yes, Mr. Perez? I mean,
Yes, we still need to clarify, Dr. Nelson, that whenever that new pay plan was put in place, some of them went down on the steps or the pay grade. And I think we need to not go down, but, stay the same or go up. But they lost a pay grade, and even though they got more money, but when we calculate with a new salary scale that we're giving today, or we're going to propose, I mean, it's going to make a difference.
Yes,
If
sir.
they were to stay with the old pay plan. So I want to clarify that before anything else, because we haven't heard anything from TEA about that. Because I don't know who had the greatest idea of putting the numbers down instead of just holding them there or upgrading it.
Yes, sir.
So that's my question. Thank you.
yes, sir.
Trustee Pettis, I agree with you 100%, and really what I would encourage is, as we go through these appeals, these are the types of things that I think people are wanting to discuss, and we will bring a summary of everything that's been brought to us, and if there's any that are not identified when we discuss it, we certainly can look at that, so definitely.
Dr. Nelson, I'd like to give us some information, please, on the technology trainers that are in the classrooms. What is going to be their status? Are they going back into teacher salaries or pay scales, or are they going to stay as out of that?
We'll bring all this at our next conversation about pay plan.
Okay, I thought we made a decision. Have we made a decision on that yet?
Well,
Yeah,
there's
Mr.
been,
Garza?
yes, they've been communicated, but they are going through the appeal process.
Okay.
So as they go through the appeal process, that includes a one-on-one conversation with HR and a meeting with me. And what
Okay.
I'm doing is I'm reviewing exactly what you said. So if
Okay.
a speech pathologist comes in and says, I've been moved to the administrative pay plan, yet I do nothing that is administrative, I only work with students, well,
Okay.
that's something I'm going to look at. If
Okay.
we have students if we have teachers, as trustee Pettis has said, that they've been changed and they actually receive more money, but when they look at it in the long term, they've been hurt, well, that's something I'll review. And then I'll make those final
Okay.
recommendations
Sounds
and bring
good.
it to the board.
Okay, so yes.
I have a question for David. It might be a little bit late, but what's the average for paraprofessionals, a 3% pay raise? Can you tell me that?
There's no way you can say an average, because some employees have 2
high
years
point,
of
low
experience, some employees have 30 years. And
And
so,
because some are pay grade 1 and others are pay grade 10.
absolutely, so everybody gets a little something different. It's, we have employees who make right under $1,500 with the 3%. Paraprofessionals, they get right under, like $1,480. And we have some that get $400. I mean, it just depends on what.
At 3%.
Yes, sir.
Okay, item number 10, Mr. Valdez.
Number K?
Number 10 on the regular agenda. This is the one about the pictures.
Okay, well, the pictures, the class pictures and all the other pictures that we have right now, I don't know if it's a policy, but it's been a practice. Dr. Nelson wants to give us a...
Well, I just think for the record, there's members of the public that do not have the agenda. So I was either you or myself, somebody. Normally what we do is read the agenda item for the public. And so I don't mind you starting with your introduction, but people may not understand the agenda item for which you're speaking to.
Yes.
So I didn't
You're
know-
talking to the president. He's in
Yes,
charge.
sir. I was speaking to.
Not me. I do those things.
For the record, item number 10.
When I preside, I do those things.
Right, that's true, that's true.
Read it. Secretary.
Okay.
For the
Dr. Nelson,
record,
go ahead.
item number 10 is discussion and possible action to instruct the superintendent to assure parents and others who purchase annual student class pictures pay only for the cost of the picture charged or paid to the photographer. Mr. Valdez?
May I speak?
Yes.
Okay.
please, sir.
I found out that the pictures, the class pictures, and I believe it applies also to other pictures too, that the pictures, parents pay $10 for a class picture, but the photographer charges only $4 of those 10. The rest of the money goes to the schools. Now, nothing wrong with that, except that the parents are paying for pictures. They were not asked to contribute to the school. I don't think it's fair that somebody, and I got this, I go pick up my grandkids at Santa Maria School, and some of the parents there were talking. There was one that had 3 children in different classes. She was going to pay $30, or has to pay $30, because the children want the pictures, instead of paying $12. Now, these are poor people. Why should they be contributing to the schools when they never said that they wanted to do so?
Sir.
I know it's been a practice, there's no malice intended at all. It's been a practice. But I believe that if they're paying for pictures, well, okay, how much do the pictures cost?
$4.
And what I'd like to do is request the board that instruct. Now, we do have another issue here. That doing some research, we found out that the monies that are generated are used for classroom activities. So that is not bad. I believe that we should appropriate monies for that. You can see that there's a need, but it should not come from the parents, because what they're paying for is a picture. In other words, we shouldn't be making money out of that. That's my, I believe Dr. Nelson.
Okay,
wants to
Dr.
say-
Nelson, please, sir.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I've had a chance to visit with Trustee Valdez regarding his agenda item, and I applaud his
Passion.
no, I didn't use that word. Thank you. I applaud his concern about how we do fundraising. And it's definitely something that we monitor. All I wanted to say respectfully, Mr. Valdez, is that we have so much fundraising in this district that technically meets your concern. And I don't want to be, I'm not trying to be unprofessional or too comical here, but, we sell chocolate candies and we sell them for $1. We give 50 cents back to the company and 50 cents goes to the Spurs, Golden Spurs, not San Antonio, Golden Spurs, or the cheerleaders, and that's really the financial concept that you're discussing, that it's like we're raising money on the backs of parents that cannot, they're already struggling.
No.
I'm sorry if I misunderstood. I just wanted to respond.
No words on me, please. No, the issue here is different, though.
Oh, okay.
When somebody sells you a candy, you have a choice.
Yeah.
Because you're buying a candy, okay?
And the pictures is not, you don't have a choice?
You're paying more than the picture. The picture is worth
Paying more than the
$4.
candy also.
Okay? All right, but you have a choice, a different choice. And, tell the parents, tell the parents, okay? This is a fundraiser. It's not. It's a sale of a picture, okay? It's not a fundraiser. And why should parents pay for that?
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's my thing, that if you're buying something, that's all you're buying.
Okay, Mr. Garcia?
I agree with him, because the pictures that we're buying are mandated by the school for their yearbook. It's not an option, but you need to buy them. The candy or anything else, you have an option to buy or not buy. That's up to you.
You don't have to buy the pictures.
Yes, because the three that are in here, they're part of their yearbook.
Yeah, but the packet doesn't
but
have
if
to
you
be.
They don't
want
have
to
to buy
take
the
them
packet?
home.
Oh, okay, but
It offset, so
did.
that's, and my explanation, because.
You can take a picture of
looking
it in
into
your
it,
book and not pay any money.
and we still need to verify, but the cost, the $10 offsets the cost of the yearbook. And.
This is a yearbook, I'm not talking about yearbook.
No, I know, but that's why it's $10. The fundraising doesn't go to an actual school classroom activity. It offsets the cost of the yearbook itself. That's the explanation I got.
Okay.
Do they have yearbooks at the elementary level?
Yeah, no.
They do.
Elementary level
Some
says,
of them do.
yeah.
Well, I'm talking about classroom pictures.
And those are, and
elementary,
that's what I'm
yeah.
saying, so those pictures themselves, they charge them, I'd say, $10, and the actual cost is $4. The other $6 goes to offset the cost of the yearbook. Although, then here comes the cost of the yearbook too. Here comes the cost of the yearbook also. And so that's voluntary whether you want to buy it or not.
Okay.
I think
Let me say something.
My point is simply this, if you're buying pictures and they cost $4, that's what you should pay.
Okay.
That's
Mr.
it.
Perez?
I think it's a deeper meaning when you buy pictures of your sons and daughters. Mira qué chulo mi hijo, And it's not like a candy, You can also buy it in a store, but you cannot buy the picture at the store. I mean, he said, well, look, he's in first grade. That's the first grade, mijito, tan chulo como su padre. So he has a little more deeper than what we just look at a picture, like Mr. Valdez says.
Well, one of the things that,
Mr. Noela?
But is there practice that most of the schools have a picture taken in the fall and then in the spring?
No.
right, and we have a class picture, and we have individual pictures, and we have team pictures, and we have yearbook pictures. And so, I think Mr. Valdez, well-intentioned agenda item, if whatever the board action take, we just would need clarification on which pictures you're talking about, because answer Mr. Noyola's questions, we do several different pictures. Now, there's some, when I visited with you, Mr. Valdez, and I know I'd be ignorant to put words in your mouth, but I thought you were talking about the class picture as Mr. Pettis just described in Spanish so well. I mean, it's the single class picture. The kids pay $10 for the pictures, and they only cost $4.
Right.
And the rest of it goes as a fundraiser to the campus. And if we want to do away with that practice, it is the will of the board.
Well, or shall we say, let it be the will of the parents? In other words, when you buy a picture, do you want to pay 4 or do you want to pay 10? Let's see what the parents say if they want to donate to the schools.
I sense
that's one.
4.
That's one. In other words, they should have that choice.
Okay.
They should have that choice, because I don't know how many of you still have
Don't
children
use it
in
as a
school.
fundraiser.
You know, when you have a 6-year-old coming at you, real happy, you know, I want a picture, Grandpa, or Daddy, or Mommy, okay? It's not as simple as saying, you know, you can't have candy.
Yes.
But coming back to this, what is happening here is that we are raising money in a way that maybe we shouldn't be.
Yes, sir.
Tell them to do that. Also, I understand the allocation and the need for the monies. I think we need to look at that also.
I think we need to ask or look at how the money was being spent, because this is money that the schools won't have, and oftentimes, there are activities that cannot be funded by the school, and this is where they go to these funds. So we need to make sure that if we're eliminating certain projects or certain expenditures,
We did away with this, right?
right, let's find
We can
out
look
what
at
they
that.
are.
Right, yeah.
We
Yes,
can
I
also
understand.
reduce the cost. It doesn't have to be totally eliminated.
Right, it could be $6.
Instead of 10, yes.
It's an
Right.
idea.
What do we
Just an
table?
idea.
Well, Mr. Val-
I guess my last shot on this is, you know, if you're buying something, pay for something. Don't find out later that you were really
fun.
paying for more than that. I don't think it's
Okay.
fair.
Okay, let me just put it in a different perspective. The school makes a plan. We're going to sell the pictures, and the money that's going to come out is going to be going to take care of the yearbook. So the students don't have to pay $50, and maybe they can just pay 20. Okay, so this is part of the money-raising project that the school makes a plan in the whole thing. And if we eliminate those $6, then we eliminate the yearbooks. And that's something we want to have, then we're going to have to, because whatever money we're going to cut from here, we're going to eliminate something else. We're going to eliminate the project that the school is funding through the raising money by selling the pictures. Okay? No, unless we go on and say, we're going to increase the amount of money that we're going to give to the schools appropriately to how much money we're going to remove from the picture sales.
Mr. President, let me give you an example of good debate, okay? The last time we met here, we were discussing some stipends. And the world was about to come crashing down on the Laredo Independent School District unless they were secured, or shall we say, taken from a certain place, okay? I think that when we looked at the whole situation, we found out that that's not the case. But it was a good debate, okay? Now here, we don't really know how much money is involved. I asked for permission to get some information on 3 schools and how they spend that money and the amounts. If you look at the amounts, they're not that high. Okay, you got that information here. I wish it had been provided before, but still, you got it here. And this is the one that says agenda item number 10, student class pictures. And it shows you there on the penultima page how much money was spent. Let's take just one school here. Let's see now. You take Faria School, which has always been a very, very high populated school, except for the last 2 years, I believe, you know, we more or less equalized it. But $16,000 is what they got in 211, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. 16,000. You're talking about, what, about $2,000 a year. Surely, the Laredo Independent School District is not going to let those activities go down. We can allocate those monies, we'll find those monies, okay? And again, but we need to see what we're talking about.
If the expenses
so-
are those that we can fund.
Well, let me tell you, these activities, or some of the activities, we're even paying ourselves from discretionary funds, okay? We had, I don't know, I believe one school board member said that he had, what, over $30,000 or $40,000 left. That would have covered this whole thing. My point is that if you're going to generate money from parents, let them have a choice. Okay? But don't tell them, you know, we're selling you a picture and you're also making money off of them. That's not right.
I concur.
Okay?
Point well taken.
And what I'd like to do this is do it in a more constructive manner, not just use the hammer, like somebody uses the hammer.
I'm not sure, who is that, Mr. Valdez?
Okay, Mr. Valdez, so what are you proposing?
Well, I'd like to request that the superintendent, this year, we just have to go through with what we've got in place right now.
Right,
But I'd like
of
to
course.
request that the board instruct the superintendent to see if we can get more information on what the whole district is spending in these categories. There are some activities here that have been, taking place, and the district has just shed the responsibility to finance them when we could have done a better job. Let me give you a quick example. We just approved tonight a program, this collaborative effort with the university, okay? I read the whole proposal. I went through the information that Ms. Flora Ayala provides us. And I saw there, and I discussed it with a couple of people, that maybe we could have put more money into that. Because the number of tutors that are being proposed is not enough. But again, we never discussed that. We never discussed the budget either. When we talked about that in the
Business support.
the business and support committee, all we got was nothing. Just a collaborative effort. That's a very important program. And maybe it should have been discussed in committee, but here is a program that I think that maybe we could have put more money into. We can still do that, okay? But we need to look into that. And this program also, we need more information.
Okay, so you want to table the motion?
Well, at
Until
this
we get
point,
more
I think
information, sir?
we'll just keep it in abeyance.
Okay, we'll table this motion. Item number 11.
So move to table.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded to table this motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
A point of information, you're tabling number 11.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think we need to read the items first, okay? So we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, item number
I
10.
retract my second because you said 11.
is here.
That's
You're
Mr.
tabling.
Noyola's.
I know we don't want
10.
to table that, see, he
Number
tabled
10.
number 11.
Somebody jumped on, we were looking at number 11 and somebody said table it, but do you want to table number 10 or number 11?
No, you don't table anything, I
Nothing, we
said
just-
we just keep it in
keep
abeyance,
it in
forget it,
abeyance,
no
that's it.
action.
There's no need for
No
action.
action.
No.
Okay, no action.
yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Valdez. Okay, can we go to Mr. Noyola? There's an item.
Yes, sir, I would like, okay.
Item number 11 is sponsored by trustee Hector J. Noyola, and it reads, discussion and possible action to instruct the superintendent to bring a plan of action for our 3 comprehensive high schools to play basketball games at the Laredo Energy Arena, LEA, next school year, 2015-16, and baseball at the Unitrade Center. Trustee Noyola?
Yes, sir. This would be a beautiful experience for our athletes to play at this arena. It's long overdue, and let's make it happen. We're shortchanging our students by not playing there. This would be a dream come true for our athletes. We have our neighborhood district that play these games, some of the games there at the LEA, and it's always a very nice experience. So I think that it's long overdue, and let's make it happen.
Okay,
Second motion.
okay, is there a motion on the,
So move.
okay, second to that motion?
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, and move second, okay, discussion. Mr. Noyola, do you want to have let's say one evening with about 3 different games like United is
Just-
doing it? Or
just
do you
an
want to play all the games
an
here?
example. An example would be, say, Martin Nixon, the first day. Have the girls play the boys from Nixon, and then the boys play. But and we can also get say a third game would be Cigarroa versus one of the out-of-town teams.
And say a couple of times during the year?
Both, yeah, 2 times.
No, I mean, yes.
If the first
We can-
year, Martin Nixon would play, they would play both games at the LEA so that one school will not lose a home game. Have both games being played there.
Like United is doing.
United and Alexander.
Right, and they have another, they have at least 2 games of the varsity teams play.
Yes, and then the following year, you can get Nixon and Cigarroa play, and then Martin will play somebody from out
And
of
this will
town.
be 2 games per season?
Right.
At the arena, right?
The same teams playing both of their games against each other at the LEA.
But not all the games of the season,
Not all the
right?
games, just
Okay.
the rivalry
Okay, so-
games, yes.
Okay, so, all right. Mr. Garza?
Yes, and I think this will benefit not only LISD, but the city in putting to use an arena that they hardly ever use, now. So this will certainly bring the parents in, certainly bring the student bodies in. I think it's a win-win situation for the city and for LISD.
Okay. Dr. Nelson?
Thank you, Mr. President. I did also have an opportunity to meet with Trustee Noyola regarding his agenda item. And for the record, I know Mr. Garcia would want me to clarify that this agenda item was proposed a year ago for last season, the 14-15 season. One of the reasons why we did not pursue it, there's a couple things that just like in the last agenda item, my responses are meant with the highest level of respect. The president did good to kind of try and start to clarify the details because it starts becoming sticky on, well, how are you going to, see, we have, with all due respect to our neighboring school district that Trustee Noyola mentioned, they have 4 comprehensive high schools. Well, it starts looking nice and clean as far as equity when you can play United South, play LBJ, and Alexander play United. For the record, Alexander versus United came close to filling it up, but it wasn't full. And so in our games, very respectfully, Mr. Garza, to your comments, I don't know if I agree with you that we'll have more participation at the LEA than we have at Martin High School, Nixon High School, Figueroa High School. The only reason why we didn't do it years ago when it was initially proposed was, number one, we needed to find a funding source, which I'll be glad to bring a budget back for this and we can identify where we take the monies from, number one. Number two, it needs to be real clear that the reason we didn't do it is because we didn't get a lot of feedback from our coaches and our kids that they wanted to do it. So I don't mind if the board wants us to do it and directs us to bring back a plan, then I'm ready to do that. But part of our planning is to go to all the coaches that are involved and say, here's what we want to do. Is there any concern about this? Is there any, and I know I speak for some of our coaches that'll say, no, they want Nixon coach, he wants to play Martin at Nixon. And he wants to go to Martin. Now, I can't speak for the coach at Martin. I can't speak for the coach at Figueroa. But if you have the Martin-Nixon game at the LEA, then Figueroa, I know I'm speaking for them, right? I know those kids. I know that coach. I know that principal. This is not something I'm thinking or I'm not in touch. They don't want to play Somerset in the LEA. They don't want to play Uvalde in the LEA. They want to play Somerset in Figueroa High School. And then they'll go to Somerset and play them on the second game. So I know that our board shares my passion for making sure the people that are most impacted by the decision really have input. And that's where we come from. And then if you go to baseball, you have the same scenario. So I applaud Mr. Noyola's agenda item, and we're prepared to bring a plan and a budget that meets his expectations. But I just want to tell you ahead of time, this is what we're going to run into. And just like you say to me, where I've heard trustees say, Nelson, the staff don't tell you everything you should know. They tell us. Well, I'm telling you on this case, they may not tell you. But Martin and Nixon, when you go to those games, it's standing room only. There's a level of intensity and excitement. I don't know if we can replicate that in the LEA. If you've got 1,000 people, and at Martin, we're counting the clicker at the door because we'll shut it down because it's standing room only, and every shot there's a roar of the crowd. Well, you lose all that at the LEA in our games. So I haven't said that. Kids running out of that tunnel and playing on that brand new floor. I'm sure that our new city manager would be more than willing to work out a very reasonable cost. I'm sure that the city would want to partner with us on this. But the last time we checked, it was $10,000 a night. So I'm not sure if the funding source is local monies, discretionary monies. It's not federal. And so we'll be glad to bring all this back, though, for the board to make further decisions on.
Please do.
Mr. Garza?
Thank you, and I appreciate the breakdown like that. I know when we first heard about it, it sounded very well, but I think you're right. Bring us the cost, and so we can absolutely see what it is. But there's no doubt that those kids, I agree with Mr. Noel in that sense that it's one of those things where some of these kids are never exposed to arenas like this, and from my point of view, and I'm not saying if, when they make it to the state finals or regionals, they're going to be playing at those arenas, and they're sure not going to be ready to play in an arena style event.
Point well taken.
It might cost us money over here, but if Martin and Nixon are doing very well, and this is something that they can see and feel and touch when they go play a San Antonio school in an arena that size, then they can almost get the feeling back of what it is to feel like that instead of a closed environment.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Nelson, we have Council Member Rangel that he has discretionary funds, and
he does.
I think he will be more than willing to sponsor
Or at least cooperate.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Mr. Perez, please. Mr. Perez?
Yeah, I've been sponsoring for the last 3 years with the discretionary funds to Santo Niño for the basketball team, and they go to San Antonio and they play in the arena. So after a game or before a game, I don't know when, but they really enjoy it, and the parents are very grateful that they went over there. Of course, they have to pay their way, but most of the time we pay for the
bus,
all the entrance fees and all those things.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Well,
Mr. Valdez?
I say the agenda item calls for us to request, to instruct the superintendent to bring a plan. I think we've had a very good discussion here. You notice I don't participate too much in that because I defer to the ones that are more into that area, like Trustee Noyola and, of course, our coaches, and Dr. Nelson. Bring us a plan.
Yes,
Bring us a plan.
We have discretionary funds still. We haven't lost any so far this year for next year. So I'm sure I can help from my discretionary funds with that plan. And $10,000, we split it up upon us, is nothing with our discretionary funds.
It's only money.
So it's only money.
Okay.
So the motion on the floor is that we do have a plan and we will do it for next year. Okay?
Well, the motion is to bring a plan.
Yes.
Yeah, but plan how we're going to do it.
Right. Bring a plan, ¿verdad? Okay, as the motion states, ¿ya hiciste la moción?
Yes. You want to
I'm
make
going to
a
bring a plan. We're ready to go research this and
Okay.
bring some further
Motion has been
discussion.
made then, seconded,
I-
¿verdad?
thank
Just
you,
like the
yes.
pictures, same thing.
Call for the question.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nobody opposed. So we will have it next year. The motion passes.
Y el otro table.
Yeah, we'll make-
Item number 12.
Item number 12 is sponsored by Trustee Ricardo Garza, and it reads, discussion and presentation on the potential addition of a hearing officer. Mr. Garza?
Yes. Over the last 2 years, I've been monitoring our situation with how much money and how much time is spent on each individual truancy case. And we're getting close to the actual cost, but I got it more in man hours than in actual cost. From the moment, my estimation, from the moment one child goes into a truancy process, which means the attendance clerks, then the vice principal, then the principal, then the truancy officers, then the home visits, and the double home visits, and then the letters, and then by the time you file it to the court system, there's a total of about 35 to 45 man hours on one case. It is my responsibility in sitting on this chair that I look at every option possible to reduce either cost or increase revenues for the school district as part of being a trustee. And one of those things that I take very seriously is in trying to find ways of us becoming more efficient and how do we save money. If we're not going to raise revenues, how do I save money? So in this process, that's one of the reasons I brought it up. We are nowhere near naming a hearing officer for a person that's going to be in there because we still don't have an actual dollar amount. But in part of the packet here, we see I had instructed staff to bring us forward the advantages and disadvantages of having one, the actual cost that it's going to take somebody as an FTE to come and do the work, but we still haven't compared it to the actual cost. And so if you look at how many cases we took to truancy to JP Court, if you add on a dollar figure, 40 hours, man hours, including how much truancy officers make, how much vice principals make, how much attendance clerk make, and all down the line, then you multiply that and you figure out whether or not we're losing money on this. And more importantly, the most important part about this is not necessarily the money, is the efficiency part.
Sure.
We make money at the schools, in this school system, by having kids sit inside the classroom. We don't make money if that kid is not inside the classroom.
Sure.
So the process for me is, how do I get a system prepared so during the truancy process to return that child back to the classroom? So one of the reasons that I brought this up is is for staff to give me that information.
Yes,
How
sir.
do we get kids faster inside the classroom? And this was one option.
Question, is this
Yes.
supposed to be a person that's going to be hearing truancy cases for our district?
If I can respond to that, Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. First of all, I want, for the record, Mr. Kazin and I both had an opportunity to visit with Trustee Garza regarding his agenda item. And I do believe that his idea, he really eloquently said that he wants to see a cost analysis first. But moving on down the road, the answer to your question, Dr. Moreno, is yes. It would be a person that really is before we file truancy with the courts, which we're limited in how we can direct them, what we can expect. They're pretty much telling us whether it sticks or not and what they're going to do. And it's our opinion, as we've studied this, there's so many other things that can be done for a child that is chronically absent that we have control over before we ever file truancy. And we could have, to answer your question, one person that coordinates all of that if it is the will of the board. I know Trustee Valdez wants me to say...
Professional position?
Excuse me?
Professional
It would
position?
be, and we've tried other pilots. We've tried things like this. So I think what would be appropriate, if it's okay with the board, is to allow us an opportunity. We've already started to develop the pros and cons as Trustee Garza has requested. We actually have a draft of that we can include in the board update. There's also legislation that may mandate this position. They may force this, and if they do, well, then that would change the implementation plan. But if you allow us to provide you some information and then bring a detailed report, really in about 10 days, which is our June committee meetings, we believe we'll have something that we can further discuss and final ruling from the legislature on the mandate.
Mr. Garcia?
Just some concern, because one, we hired somebody last year to do this. Yes, we did. That overlooks the department, not besides yourself. The young lady what's her name?
Mendiola.
Yeah. We hired something. It's not happening. The legislature is also saying, we're going to cut back. We don't want you to send them to court. The person we hired was supposed to escort these people to court to be part of the court hearing. Not happening. So, I mean, we're spinning our wheels in mud, and we're not going anywhere. I said before we do something like this, we need to organize that whole department to go forward. But everything that we've done so far is not working, because we specifically sat here and said we're going to hire this person to this, this. What's happened? I know that Mr. Martinez was pushing for it, and we went ahead and did this.
Sure.
What has this person done? That's just what I see from my point of view, and what I've heard from the schools.
Tim Ford.
Mr. Valdez?
Yes, we have already gone that route
Yeah.
in the Laredo Independent School District. I know some of the JPs that we have right now. I believe Judge Vélez used to be one before he was a judge. We've already gone through all of that. They even had cassocks. And again, you're not going to save any money because the issue is not money. Okay, in other words, all the staff that were mentioned, the truant officers, the clerks, and so on, they will still be there. But there comes a time when state law kicks in, And state law mandates that they must go right now to the JPs, y se acabó, okay? However, we can cut them off at the pass and do something else, but I believe the last full-time hearing officer we had was Andy Santos, some years back.
But he was for discipline.
Huh?
He was for discipline. To
Oh,
stand
okay,
to ladder.
okay, I'm sorry, you're correct. And, well,
He was
also went
excellent.
into that. But coming back to this, this issue goes a little bit deeper than that, okay? To create one position, we have gone all the way, we even have staff working with the JPs. I have questioned that several times, and I won't go too deep into that. But can you just imagine if you go into a court, you're being accused by somebody, and the court there has employees from the people that are charging you, which way do you think they're gonna go? In other words, come on now, that's not fair. But coming back to this, the state legislature right now is looking also into that, decriminalizing these activities. I also found out through our research that when it comes to absenteeism in the schools, the principles are correct. The only thing that state law allows is an excuse from a medical professional, a health professional. I've always believed that we can, you have a child and he's sick, you just don't take him to see the doctor right away. Doesn't make sense, but that's state law. State law doesn't allow for the other one. So there are some things that need to be looked into. But I don't know if a hearing officer system is going to help here. Our counselors are supposed to do that right now. What I would like to request in the study of this, we should study it. I'd like to see, the system that we have in place right now. And I think we're going to find out a lot of things that maybe all we need to do is push it up a little bit more and what have you, okay?
Mr. Garza?
Yeah, and that's really where we're at right now, Mr. Valdez. Is
Sure.
that I know that you all also had started one back in 2005. The attempts have been there, and my question had been to staff, why did those either failed?
Oh,
Or
the board-
why weren't they successful in terms of, maybe they had partial success and they failed because of whatever reason, but yeah, House Bill 278 is going to determine this. We started this process back in December about what we're going to attempt to do. I believe this. I believe that if there's a system out there, and it doesn't necessarily have to be an FTE. What I was saying is that we need to find, I want LISD to be as self-sufficient as possible, that we don't have to depend on an outside source to handle our cases. In other words, yeah, we have to go to the JP, but if we make this study and only 25 out of every 100 cases belong at the JP court, then so be it. That's what I want to hear. But we can't send all 100 and then find out that 75 we could have handled it in-house. In other words, that we could have done something about it to get that kid back into the classroom. That's why I'm saying that, whether this person or this teacher or this vice principal that handles this their deal that says, we're going to send you straight to ISS for X amount of days, LADA, and that'll be part of your truancy program, where we can save money in terms of not going through the whole process. Yeah, the truancy officers and everybody are still going to be there, but if we can have this turnover rate of going through the JP process, and then they pretty much says we can't do anything about them, well, we wasted all that time because that child didn't go back to the classroom. And that's really that's really the root of where I'm really trying to get that. The cost analysis is going to be also very important, because I really want to know how much is actually spent. I don't think really a lot of people in a lot of school districts know what the incredible cost of truancy is. And if we put a dollar figure to this, I think it'll open a lot of eyes out there that says, and then we can figure out whether it's working at that point or not.
Mr. Mayola?
Yes, I understand, Dr. Nelson, that San Antonio Independent School District and Edgewood have hearing officers. Can you please check to see their efficiency, and maybe if the Valley is having they have hearing officers too, and give us a report?
Yes, sir, that'd be part of it. May I respond? Well, I just want to emphasize, first of all, very respectfully, Trustee Garcia.
Say something.
Okay, I'll defer. Sure. Okay. I just wanted to respectfully defend the work of our current attendance coordinator. Ms. Mendiola has been an outstanding addition to our team, and if you really research our data the way that we monitor it, which is daily, you'll see that our attendance is currently up. Now, I happen to agree with Trustee Garcia that our campuses can do a better job of coordinating truancy. And so if you have an attendance coordinator, what I hear Trustee Garza saying is adding a tool to her toolbox of someone that can help her deal with kids that are chronically truant. But Trustee Garcia, I'm not against him. He's right that even Ms. Mendiola can tell you that at the campuses, Figueroa High School is willing to cooperate, go to court, do whatever they need to do to make sure that their attendance is right and their chronically truant kids are handled the way that we expect them to be handled, to where they stop missing school. We've got other high schools that won't send anyone to court. And that's an internal thing. We don't need a hearing officer for that. We don't need an attendance coordinator for that. What we need is stronger leadership, where we clearly communicate to our campuses that when you go to court, if you don't show up to court, then you might as well, you can know what the judge is going to do if no one's there for the, I don't know what the word, the opposite of defendant, prosecution or whatever. So I think that the points are well taken. I wanted to clearly communicate that if you look at our attendance rate from this year to this point last year, it is clearly up. We did that in our Student Services Committee meeting. It also will be part of the presentation we bring, including what Mr. Noyola has asked for. We're looking at best practices in the Valley. We can even show you a review of some of the other pilots we've tried, like PDL and some other things. And so this is a very complicated process, and I applaud Mr. Garza, because when you look at the really just exorbitant costs that we continue to put into this, I agree we should have stronger results. But for the record, if you look at it from this year to last year, it's up.
Mr. Garcia?
Yeah, it is, but if you look at how many students we had last year to the student this year, it's down. So the percentage
number of truancy filings.
So the percentage is not because of that we're getting more kids to school, that we have fewer students in our district. That's one. The work that they do is outstanding. I'm not criticizing that, because I don't care what we put or
How we get
it done. We're never going to be at 99, 100%, at 98. That's coming. We're on top of what the state is across the country. You know what? That's the problem. But
yes, sir.
The leadership comes from the top.
No question.
And I'm not trying to, but if one school's doing it and Figueroa's doing it, why are the other schools doing it? Well, that's not a principal thing, because the principals have a boss. And at the end of the day, it comes from the very top. This is the way it's going to be done, period. Not optional.
Yes, sir.
This young lady that we hired her for a reason. But she can't be everywhere if the principals aren't going to buy in. That's what I'm saying. Before we can hire somebody, before we can look at doing something, we got to fix what we have right now. Why just throw another gadget into her box if the gadget she had, we're not using it to our full potential? That might be my story.
We'll take it.
The truant officers that we have do an excellent job, because we're a little higher, but enrollment, I think, is down this year.
Yes, it is.
So it's just a balance. You know what? We're higher because we have less students. But that percentage of 2% or 3% that are not attending school, I don't care what we do up here.
Get them back.
It's going to be the same thing, regardless. It's been there for last year and the year before. And every school district goes through that. How are we going to get to those small amount of kids to get them to school? Giving you another gadget, yes, but we're not using what we have to our potential. That's what I'm trying to say. We got to be at potential. Then we say we need another gadget because what we have is not working. It's just that right now we're at, I would say attendance is at 65, 70% with all the gadgets that we have. We gave another person, we do this, but if the principals, vice principals in charge of attendance do not buy into this, then we're shooting ourselves in the foot, because they're not following direction from the campus, from the principal, and from your office. That's where my problem is.
Yes,
Mr. Valdez? Next item. I'm sorry. Let me just, Mr. Valdez wanted one more item to discuss.
Just one more
Thank you.
shot here. The question was, if these programs were tried before, why were they stopped? It was political. when Dr. Nelson came in, we couldn't get for anything in the world the Peter Liscano project going again. Now, here was a project where he would get from the principals the worst cases you could find. He wouldn't get a penny unless they came back to school. And he got them back to school. And the program was working. But it got to be political. That's what the problem was. I think we're over that now.
Yeah,
I think we're over that. But here's a program that was not costing us one penny. Okay? He would get a percentage. I believe it was 15% of the money that would come in.
Recaptured.
And something like that. And he was bringing in, ¿cómo se dice? Students that were really bad cases. And they really went out there. Here was the private industry moving as fast as they could. But the political winds started blowing. And goodbye, Charlie.
Okay, Dr. Nelson, what action do you want to take on this? Mr. Perez, no, he wanted to go into the next item.
Yeah, next item.
Dr. Nelson, just to finish this item, Mr. Perez.
I'm very comfortable with Mr. Garza's leadership and expectations, and if you'll just allow me to work with him, I'll bring something to the board that really addresses all of these things.
Okay, item number 13.
Item number 13 is also sponsored by Trustee Garza, and it reads, discussion and update on LISD Civic Center, Performing Arts Center operating costs, including opening facilities to the public. Mr. Garza?
Yes, I brought this issue ever since we bought the Civic Center. I wanted to find out, as you know, and I mentioned this before, every building that we acquire, every new building that we are going to have, our operating cost is going up. There's no way around it. But what that amount is something that we need to have a definite figure on. As I mentioned in the previous agenda item, as I sit here, it's the only thing I want to do is I want to go department by department and figure out how well or how more efficient we can get, because I know the dollars are getting tougher and tougher to get. And so if we create systems that are productive, that are efficient, and that are profitable in their own respect, then we don't have to, we lessen our dependence on some of the monies to come in. And so this is one of them. This is one of them that I haven't gotten a figure on in terms of salary costs for that, how much our light bill is, how much our overall operating costs, everything that's providing it. And I'm all for providing the public for a use of anything like that, but I know for a fact that in doing those type of things, we don't have the deep pockets that the city and or the county have. So we need to be responsible and say, this is how much it's going to cost. So this is not an agenda item that says, don't open it because it's going to cost us. This is an agenda item that says, I just want to find out what it actually costs to do those things. Because once we do, everything that we do up here has an absolute value to it. And if we can go out there and give you decisions on everything that we make, but if we're not cognizant of all the costs that are occurring because we want things to happen, then I think it's going to be kind of irresponsible of us to not look at that.
Dr. Nelson?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to clarify that one of the initiatives that we brought, it wasn't acted on by the board, but it was clear the majority of the board wanted us to open up Shirley Field. And what I've done, it was my decision, I just want to, I know this is a little different than what we asked for, or what the board asked for, but we started that by opening it one day a week. We had 2 people the first day. We had 10 people the next time we opened it. And I don't mind going to every day, which is what we've talked about doing, but it really is just an impetus for that conversation has to be how we're going to fund that activity. Because we have a budget for 1 day a week, and it's fine. It's no problem. We can have a budget for 2 days a week, but if you're going to open it every day from 6 to 9 all summer, we're willing to do that. But as Mr. Garza has said so well, that's going to require a budget. And we have not budgeted for that. Now, we can do an amendment. We have, our resources are plentiful because of our board's monitoring and our financial department's leadership. But we just, this agenda item, I applaud Mr. Garza, because if you're going to open up the Civic Center every day, the Shirley Field every day, well, we're going to have to pay for that. And I don't mind paying for it. It's definitely an initiative, but we do not have the same pockets the city has. We do not have the same pockets United has. And so, it's something that we've taken. What you don't want is to open it up and let people tear it up. You'll then say that was unacceptable, that we didn't monitor it correctly. And so, we've got people out there watching. We've got security out there, and we're cleaning it and doing exactly what we need to do. But to go from 1 day a week to 5 days a week with no budget, that needs to be clarified.
And
Mr. Valdez?
Let me clarify it also, because it doesn't only include, what I want doesn't only include, it's a one part, the football field is one part, Shirley Field is one part. I need the actual cost of the ballroom, the pool, the auditorium, the meeting rooms.
Veterans.
We're going to be using it, because we're going to be using it, absolutely, we're using it for the kids, we're using it for special events, we're going to be using the swimming pool, obviously, this summer. And so, again, I'm here to try and figure out ways that we can increase revenues for our use. But if we're gonna have things that are unforeseen in terms of cost, this is one of them. It's a great facility. We're gonna be doing some work with it, but the more you use it, the more damage is gonna occur, the more, wear and tear is gonna occur. So we need to be prepared for that. And the other thing is that if we're not getting an absolute figure, let's say on like I said, on the operating cost of having this building or these buildings, then we need to figure out what it is in order to make adjustments.
Sir.
Mr. Martinez.
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
The Civic Center, when it was run by the city, never made money for the city. And it was not intended to make money. It's a service. And nationwide, civic centers don't make money for their particular city.
We're not trying to make money.
Right. But in the long run, I agree with, we need a study about expenses. But we're not going to make money. We're not going to make money out of the civic center.
Right, and we
have to be ready to lose money.
We're not trying to turn it into a revenue generator. Yeah. It's just what Mr. Garza's told me in our meeting. Like, for example, we currently don't open up the pool to the public.
Okay.
But we could charge $300, and we could let people have the pool for 2 hours and provide a lifeguard, and it would be using the facility the way we were supposed to use it, and it'd make a little money. It wouldn't totally pay for the cost.
Offset cost.
Yeah, it would just offset it a little bit, and we're willing to do whatever this board wants us to do to have higher levels of efficiency.
Mr. Valdez?
Yes, another thing is, we had this discussion when we were planning to buy the Civic Center.
Indeed.
And again, I'm glad we're bringing it back again. We're forgetting something. The No Child Left Behind law says that we will allow, within reason, school facilities for the community, especially if it comes from the boys clubs. I'm sorry, Boy Scouts.
Right.
Mr. Sanchez never knew he had such powers. But if the Boy Scouts do that, and again, all you have to do is throw a dance in there for the elderly, and at the dance, you're going to honor some Boy Scouts. And you can't deny it.
Right.
Okay? That's by federal law.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Again, that doesn't help us at all, because we still need to have a budget. We need to do those things. And there are major events in this community that take place, for which our civic center is very appropriate. Very appropriate. You know, you're not going to go to the LEA to have those events. Our civic center is the place to go to. And we have three major parts in there, okay, where people can meet. You have the ones on the side, and then of course the ballroom and the auditorium, okay? So we don't really know, a plan needs to come in. I think I'm glad that Rick brought this up, Mr. Garza, because we need to have a plan in the community who has been using the Civic Center over the years. For example, the elderly, they used to have a beautiful dancing once a year before the HEB and got the Thanksgiving, function. But we used to have it there. That's once a year. And the Señor Internacional and all these activities, again, they only use it once a year or maybe twice a year. So we need to see what the cost will be. I don't think it's going to be that much. But we need to look into it. So I'm glad you're doing it.
I just think Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Just real quick, in the calculations that, you know, what we said, civic centers are going to lose money. As Mr. Nora said, as part of the city council, we lost $750,000 to $1 million a year. We said we were going to, if we start calculating all the use that the LISD is doing, put a pencil to that, it's the same thing. We've opened up our swimming pool to everybody to exercise and all that, but now that we want to do the track, so now we're worried about it. The baseball field's turned on, I'd say 95% of the time the lights are on. And if it's a game or no games, I've driven by there, the lights are on, there's no games going on there, but the lights are on. So that's a gimme. I mean, it's not going to make money. We just got to see how
We can offset
how
some.
we can operate it and not lose that much money.
Right.
There you go.
basically.
That's the key to it.
That's the idea. So
And,
you offset some of the costs by,
Right.
you know, in other words, let's figure out a more efficient way of doing it. If the lights are staying on like that, well, let's put sensors on those or timers on those lights so that, you know, they can be turned off that way.
And also,
And part of the idea here is that, wherever we stand on this issue about the Civic Center, construction project, that has to be the priority here. That if in the long run, we're going to add things in there that are going to save us money in the operations part, that's what I want to do. That's what I'm really, really involved in. I want to, really willing to find out what it is.
let me just make a
Next
point.
item.
I'm sorry, Mr. I need to make another point. Now, we will lose money because our kids and our activities don't pay anything. So we start at a loss. But if we have a quinceañera or a wedding, that one will not lose money. That activity will not lose money, but it will bring a little bit of income. If we have the Civic Center idle, we lose money.
Sure.
So we need to have the Civic Center used. Now, of course, there's wear and tear, but there's wear and tear with our use constantly. But if we make money on some activities, then we can offset the
expenditure.
Some of the cost, and instead of losing $10,000 a month or whatever, we might be able to lose maybe $1,000. So I think it'd be proper to use it oftenly for the community, charging the appropriate amount so all the expenses are paid, plus a little bit of profit for the district. So that I think it's important to do. Now, we were going to have a marquee at the at Shirley Field, and we were going to lease it to the Coca-Cola company, and we had a deal, and nothing came out of it. So we lost money. We lost $400,000 on buying that thing. What happened to? We need to raise money if we can. Why not? There's nothing wrong with raising money. It's not that we're not in the money-raising projects, but we can raise funds sometimes. And if we can raise funds, why not? So I think as a businessman, kind of limited businessman, we look at money as a profit that needs to be taken care of. And any businessman will do that. So, Mr. Perez, you have something to say?
Yeah, he said next item.
Next item.
Thank you, sir. Next item.
We'll follow up on that. And
Yes, sir.
Understand that. Item number 14 is discussion and possible action to approve additional FTEs for the 2015-2016 school year. Mr. President, members of the board, it's our opinion that the budget process really has a few big rocks. One of them is additional revenue, not revenues, we were just talking about that, additional monies that people want. Another one is salaries, which we've had a discussion on earlier. But the other one is new positions. And what we've provided for you is a request of 19 new positions that we would like to add. They're based on the budget process that we've been going through since November. I'm proud to report that all of them we have funding sources for, with the exception of 2 electricians, 2 HVAC technicians, and 5 custodians. And so,
So move to approve as presented, and we find the funds for those people.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's
Not,
more second. Is there a question? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Okay, the item carries. Next item, please.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Item number 15 is update on the 2015-2016 athletic department goals, including spring sports results and participation goals. Mr. President, members of the board, I'd like to respectfully ask our athletic director to come to the podium and provide an up. This is a conversation that really has been requested by Trustee Noyola, Dr. Moreno, Mr. Garcia, and Mr. Garza. And so, I'm sorry,
Mr. President, I need
Yes.
to be excused at this time.
Go ahead.
And so, just briefly, it's not an in-depth presentation, but it's
Okay.
just an overview of the spring sports.
Okay, please.
You know, and so at that time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Ramirez to allow a few comments, and then we'll entertain comments or questions from the board, which I know they have several. Mr.
Good evening,
Ramirez.
board members. Rene Ramirez for the record. As Dr. Nelson was sharing with us right now, is that we have the spring semester sports results. I have provided that information for you, and you have a comparison from 2013-14 to 2014-2015. And you can see most of our programs. I can say about basketball, you can see the information there, how many
is
teams
everything-
advanced.
Is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
boys' basketball program all correct?
I'm sorry, ma'am, was that?
Is the information correct on the boys' basketball program
Yes, ma'am, all three teams advanced to the playoffs.
in last year?
And last year, we had Martin advance to the playoffs, Nixon came in fifth, and Cigarroa finished in seventh as far as the boys are concerned, ma'am. But all six of our teams in the basketball programs advanced to the playoffs. Okay, thank you.
Right here. Yeah. Just click on the item.
That's what I needed. So just scroll down. So in regards to the basketball programs, Dr. Moreno, we had the boys and the girls, all six of them advanced to the playoffs. All right, and then we had powerlifting. As you can see again, you'll see some more information there in regards to who advanced to the, they're not in the UIL, but they went to the state meet where the following athletes. So the ones that we have basically are staying the same. Martin High School didn't have anybody qualify last year. This year they had Ashley De Anda that finished second in the state. And you can see the numbers there, name of the athletes that advanced to the state playoffs from Nixon and from Cigarroa. Continue?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, and as we go to soccer, we look at our soccer programs. Last year we had all three of our teams and the boys advanced to the playoffs. This year we had two of our teams advance. One of the team that came in fifth was actually with Nixon, and they competed against Martin in the last game. One of the two would have been advanced. If Nixon would have won, it would have been them advanced to the playoffs. In our girls program, we had two teams advance to the playoffs last year. This year we had the other team that did not advance. Martin finished in sixth last year. They finished and made the playoffs this year. Last year we had Nixon and Cigarroa advance to the playoffs. Cigarroa came in fifth, and Nixon came in eighth place. Continue?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right, then we go to our boys and girls tennis. As you can see, we had Martin last year finished in sixth place. This year they finished in fourth place. Nixon finished in eighth. They advanced the team to the post-season playoffs. That's actually, they were district runner-ups. Cigarroa finished in seventh place. This year they finished in fifth place. We see some improvement. And our golf programs, you can see this is one of the areas that we still need work. I can say right now that our numbers have increased, and I can provide that information for you. But this is an area that we continue to work on, is our golf programs. All right, the next item I have
Let me tell you
Yes, sir.
on the golf part, and
Yes, sir.
I agree with you. And this is what this all brings out. Everything just comes out in the open with this type
Correct,
of
sir.
process. Yeah, it sort of just pinpoints that now on this particular issue in golf and tennis, now that's where we go over to the middle schools so that this doesn't happen, so, and so now we have it, in writing, now we have it visually, and what we need to do to increase that. Because golf is one of those sports that's gets hidden. And all these other sports that are not what you would call major sports, they get hidden in the background and sort of get forgotten. But good, I'm glad to see that.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
but it doesn't-
Where do they practice, Rene? The golf?
The golf, our golf programs, Mr. Oyola, practice at Casablanca. And we bus them every day.
Every day?
Every day, sir. So that's where we have our practices, and we've actually increased our
Let me tell you-
numbers.
And do
So
you have
now
the
we're
same-
gonna have to
We
start
go,
using buses.
UISD practices, they bus them to the Max, to the Country Club, and to Casablanca.
From what I understand, sir, I don't know if they get bused to the Max every day. I think they use.
No,
the
no, I'm
Casablanca.
saying that they substitute it, not every day.
Okay,
So
okay.
they have those three facilities to practice from, and which is great because it's three totally different animals that they go see. And so that's, their success rate is based on them having more accessibility. Obviously, their participation rates are, they have to turn kids, they don't turn them away, but, I mean, they have it at every level. And there's other issues besides that, so.
And do you have the same coach for boys and girls or different coaches?
We have one coach that coaches the boys and girls.
Good.
All right. In our track programs, everything stayed almost the same as far as numbers of athletes advancing to the areas and to the regionals. I did make a typo there. We had Martin advance 2 athletes to the regional meet. All right. And then we go to the sports, we go to softball, and this is an area that has, definitely needs more attention, and we've already made some changes in our programs here. But Martin did finish in 8th last year, and they finished again this year. Nixon finished in 5th last year, they finished in 6th this year. Cigarroa is still competing and is actually knocking on the door to be making the playoffs, and I think that they will do it next year. And I know that we had a very young program at Nixon High School, so they're looking at also doing very well next year as far as they're concerned. In our baseball programs, we had Martin made the playoffs last year. This year, they finished in 5th place. They tied, they had, all 3 of our teams, those 2 teams had an opportunity to make the playoffs in the second to last game. They lost their second to last game. The only thing that I don't want to attribute, don't make any excuses, but we did have a lot of rain, and it did affect our kids as far as practices were concerned. And I think that, to me, that makes a big difference, but I think our teams are competitive.
But so did Laredo so did UISD, where you have a team that's in the top, first in the state. They had the same rain that everybody else had.
Sir-
I wish I would have seen numbers, because I know that our numbers are not there. Our baseball program doesn't exist. Our softball program doesn't exist. To come out 6th, 6th, and 8th, those are the last 3 places. We're shooting for a playoff spot because everybody was losing to the top 2 teams, the 3 teams. My concern is that, you know what, the spring sports did nowhere. In track, our numbers went down. I know we had 10 go to regional. How many actually advanced from there? 1, 2, 1. That's unacceptable for a school district this big. That, you know what, we're giving stipends and all this, and that's what I said earlier, that the stipend to programs that don't put in the work that they need to. When you have basketball that rebuilds in all schools, when you have the soccer program that's consistent, when you have cross country that's consistent, why isn't everybody else consistent? At least to you know what, to perform. But when you're getting blown out by 10 runs and 12 runs, and when you're running and your teams are disqualified because they're dropping batons, and it's just, you know what, our spring sports, in my opinion, just did not exist this year anywhere. I know Cigarroa did very well, but if you look at the record, and I'm glad that they got on there, if you look at the record, because everybody else is horrible. I think you bought the 1-0 game from San Antonio, so it was a 1-2, and then everybody mixed up because everybody had 7 losses. That's what I wanted to see, and I wanted to see numbers too, because our programs are not where they should be, and we've already talked about this, that we're getting better, that we're young. We were young last year, Nixon. We're young this year. That's all the excuse that we use, is that we're young, or we're not doing this. It's not an acceptable response. It's that we need to get coaches that are dedicated, that work harder for their program. Basketball does that every year. I know Martin High School, they reload. That's what I always tell them. Nixon reloads, soccer reloads. I mean, they don't have nothing coming back. They graduate all these seniors and they still have a team. That's what I don't understand in the other sports. It's just, to me, it's mind-boggling. being that I coached for several years.
Well, if I may, sir, I went down to the last slide as far as participation numbers, and this is almost complete. It's as close as I could get it. But our participation numbers at our schools, we still want more numbers. I agree with Mr. Garcia. But our last year's numbers totaled, we ended up with 1,916. Now we ended up with 2,197. So that was a 13% increase in total participation. I agree, and I look at the softball programs, and I see one 32 to 37, 20 to 24, 42 to 37. So I understand, I completely understand what you're saying, Mr. Garcia, and I do agree that we have some programs that are doing very well, and we have some programs that still need some attention, but I really feel confident that we're headed in the right direction. And in regards to track, I want to say that the district that we're in, I think we're competing very well with those teams. I can't compare.
We had 4 people go to regional.
Our region compared to the valley is, I don't think it's a competition.
Well, since some of these numbers are questionable, because track and field, I can show you a roster that was submitted that didn't have a 25 to 30 names.
You're talking about entries, sir?
Yeah, I can show you in this that I've talked to some of the schools that these numbers are not true numbers.
No, sir, we actually.
Nixon didn't have 110 people in track, I can tell you that right now.
Sir, what we did this year, we added to make sure we had all our kids from our athletic programs, from football, basketball.
But that's just an off-season football.
Correct.
That's not a track team.
Well, that's what we're trying to push for, to try to get those athletes, those students to become athletes, to become tracksters, to start a program, to get them to where our goals are, our vision is to have success. And if we get them to participate, this is the opportunity to be able to improve in our programs. So I do agree as far as what areas that we still need to address. Yes, is there areas, but in everything that we do, we always want to improve. Whether it be football, basketball, baseball, we always want to go to the next level. And we're going to continue to strive to work in that direction.
And let me ask you, I'm sorry, one more question.
Yes, sir.
And the Nixon one, you're saying you had 191 football players. There were no 191 football players. How many kids finished the season? That's what I like to know. Everybody goes out there, within a week, you're down to 50, 60. I went out to their practices. I could count them. With 2 hands, I would have counted your tears. They didn't have no 191 players.
Mr. Garcia, the numbers that we're looking at includes the 2 freshman teams that we had in the
I
JV.
understand that, but
Overall-
we did not have 191 players.
Well, these are the numbers that I've got from our programs, Mr. Garcia, and I did monitor our programs, and this is the numbers they've had, and this is what we have to report.
All right.
So going back to our next item that I wanted to go was, what we're planning to, as far as athletic goals are concerned, we want to increase our participation numbers by 10% in all our sports. We want to increase the number of teams for the following sports. It's girls basketball, boys and girls soccer, softball, and baseball. And what I'm talking about here is freshman programs.
We might want to look at numbers instead of percent, because some of those, in some cases, 10% would be 1.
Right.
And I think we're looking for better than 1.
Yes, ma'am, I
So
understand.
maybe let's look at numbers.
Yes, ma'am. The other item we're looking at is monitoring daily attendance rate of our athletes in order to assist campuses improve their rate by at least 1%. All right. Increase the number of student athletes to participate more than one sport. Increase the number of teams advancing to the postseason playoff by 10%. Decrease the number of student athletes assigned to ISS by 10%. These are our goals for this coming school year. All right. Now going to our coaches' expectations. These are what we expect. There are 13 of them, but the bottom line is the last 2 or 3 is to strive for excellence, to produce a well-coached and competitive team, which will be measured by the end of the season district record, shall field a complete team on each division for the entire season, and above all, the last number 13, if above criteria is below expectation, the conference will be held to discuss possible options. And that's all I have.
Okay. Item number 16.
Okay. That brings us to our
Thank you
close.
very much.
Before we get to our.
Good job.
Thank you, sir.
Before we get in our closed session, item number 16 is our internal auditor. It reads, discussion and possible action on the duties and responsibilities of the internal auditor as assigned by the Board of Trustees, including the potential assignment of auditing duties. Ms. Henry?
Good evening, Board President, members of the board, Dr. Nelson. Do you have any items or any assignments for me?
The microphone, we can barely hear you.
Oh, good evening, members of the board, Dr.
Yes.
Nelson. Any assignments for me this month?
How many are you working on right now?
No, any aside?
On 4.
4, okay.
Okay, sorry.
I don't want to overwhelm.
I look across the board, there seems to be no assignments.
Okay.
So we don't have any. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next item.
Thank you,
Dr.
Mr. President. That brings us to closed session. If I may have permission to read all of the items. They are, number 17, discussion and possible action regarding the potential purchase of the real property known as 1901 Convent Avenue, 1901 Salinas Avenue, and 1219 Park Street, Laredo, Texas. Possible closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551.072. Item number 18 to be discussed in closed session is discussion and possible action regarding the termination of teacher Humberto Garza on continuing contract, including discussion with legal counsel regarding related legal issues and pending litigation. Possible closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074 and 551.071. Item number 19 is discussion and possible action regarding the proposed termination of teachers on continuing contract, including discussion with legal counsel regarding related legal issues and pending litigation. Possible closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074 and 551.071. Item number 20 to be discussed is discussion and possible action to approve the renewal of non-Chapter 21 administrator and special assignment one-year non-certified contracts for the 2015-2016 school year. Possible closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074, subsection A, subsection 1. And finally, discussion and possible action to approve the recommendation to hire the following professional positions: Child Nutrition Program Cost Analyst and the Jose A. Valdez High School Director. Possible closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074. We recommend closed session, Mr. President.
It is now 8:07. It is now 8:07. We're now going to close session on the items described by Dr. Nelson.
You need a motion and a second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? No. Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. We're going back to the main meeting. It is now 8:44. Dr. Nelson?
Thank you, Mr. President. For the record, no votes were taken, no action was taken, no votes were cast in closed session. On item number 17, no action is required. And that brings us to item number 18, Mr. President.
Yes, sir. Number 18.
Discussion and possible action regarding the termination of teacher Humberto Garza on continuing contract, including discussion with legal counsel.
Are there any motions? Yeah.
Yes. Mr. Wilson?
I so moved.
We recommend approval as presented.
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Item-
Nobody opposed? No opposed? The motion carries.
Item number 19 is discussion and possible action regarding the proposed termination of teachers on continuing contract, including discussion with legal counsel. For the record, we're asking to undo a termination that was approved and accept the resignation of Pete Lara as presented.
I move that we rescind the proposed
sorry.
termination of teacher Pedro Lara and accept his resignation.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed? The motion carries.
Item number 20 is discussion and possible action to approve the renewal of non-Chapter 21 administrator and special assignment one-year non-certified contracts for the 2015-2016
So
school
moved.
year.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I just recommend that the board include in this item that it is subject to and without waiving any potential disciplinary action based on any wrongdoing or disciplinary issues that may be pending at this time. It's the board's action in renewing the contracts or not waiving any possible future disciplinary action.
I move.
Okay.
We
So
incorporate the comments of
It's
the,
incorporated in the motion. All those in favor of the motion as incorporated?
we haven't made the motion.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, I did.
There was a motion and a second.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, again, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nobody opposed, the motion carries.
Item number 21 is discussion and possible action to approve the recommendation to hire the following professional positions. The Child Nutrition Program Cost Analyst. I would like to recommend Mrs. Maribel Pineda Luna for the position.
Motion.
So move that we approve the recommendation of the superintendent.
Moved and seconded, that we approve the recommendation as presented by the superintendent. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? None opposed?
The other position,
Motion
Mr.
carries.
President, members of the board, is Jose A. Valdez, High School Director. I would like to recommend Mrs. Melissa Valdez for the
I move that
position.
we recommend.
I second it.
Approve the
Yes.
recommendation of the superintendent.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? None opposed, the motion carries. Communications.
Good evening again, board members. Tomorrow, LISD students will be participating in the Young Women's Leadership Conference at TAMU. On Saturday, we have the LISD Family Fitness Fun Day from 8 a.m. to 12 noon at Shirley Field, Veterans Field, and the Dr. Cecilia May Moreno Aquatic Center. Activities include Zumba, water aerobics, walking and running around the track, a softball tournament, and refreshments provided by Laurel Insurance. And on Monday, we have our annual banquet, Monday, May 18th at 6 p.m. in the Civic Center. We will be honoring our retirees and the nominees for Teacher of the Year and Paraprofessional of the Year. On Wednesday, we will have the Service Award Ceremony honoring LISD's longtime employees. That's also Wednesday at 6 o'clock in the ballroom. And we will be remembering our fallen soldiers during LISD's annual Memorial Day ceremony on Friday, May the 22nd at 9 a.m. at Memorial Middle School. Breakfast will be served after the ceremony. Moms and dads will be thanked at the Parental Involvement Luncheon on Monday, May 25th at 12 noon at the Civic Center Ballroom. And the Dream Graduation Program will be held at the Civic Center Ballroom on Tuesday, May the 26th at 7 p.m. And that's all I have this evening.
Anything else, Dr. Nelson?
No, sir, Mr. President.
Okay. I will